welcome to this video. My name is Sue and I run SewSusieDesigns.com. Now I thought it would be useful to do a beginner's stamping video. I remember when I first tried stamping, I didn't really know what to do. The results weren't great and it made me have no confidence in carrying on, and I want to show you how with a few simple tools and a simple technique you can produce great results every time. So this is going to be a mini series where I'm going to be looking at some stamping basics. So today, how to stamp. So first of all, I want to talk to you about the two different types of stamps. So these stamps are called cling stamps, and what they are is they're a rubber stamp, a red rubber stamp. They come, when you order them, they come on one sheet and you just pop each one of them out, and you can really clearly see the design on there, the texture on there, and they're very sticky on the back, which means they're going to stick to your platform really well. So that's a rubber stamp. So when you're putting it down, you can pretty much see where the image is going to be, but you can't see through the stamp. And that's the difference with the photo polymer stamps. They are a clear stamp. Okay, so oops, I haven't put that one back in properly. Okay, so these are clear stamps, and this one's a little bit stained because I've been using some Stays On permanent ink with it, but as you can see, they are see-through. You can see exactly where you are putting your stamp when you are stamping with it. And again, these will stick onto, they stick into the case, but they will also then stick on to your platform. So what platforms do you need? Well, you have a couple of options. One of the options is to use a clear acrylic block. So these ones from Stampin' Up, they come in different sizes, so you can use the right size for your stamp. Although if you're only buying one, I recommend going for a fairly large one, so that if you've got a large stamp, you can fit it on there. The other option is a stamping platform. This is a stamping platform. You place your card inside, place your stamp on the lid, and you push it in. So let's have a look, let's have a go. So just move that one out of the way. I'm just going to bring in a piece of cardstock, and let's start with the stamping platform. So one of the great things about a stamping platform is that if you're doing more than one card in the same design, it's really easy to make sure that they all look exactly the same, because you can just stamp, switch out the paper, stamp, switch out the paper, and you, by lining it up, you know you're going to be stamping in the same place every time. So let's just grab one of our stamps. Okay, and what I can do is I can place it face down, so the smooth side up, and I can choose where I want it on my page. I've got my magnets holding my page in place. Come down, press to lift that up and pull it over. I can now ink it up, so I want that flat. I'm going to open up my ink, and I'm going to take my ink to my stamp, and I'm just going to tap it a few times, bring it over, and I'm going to apply some even pressure over the top. I can then lift it up and my image is perfectly stamped. If it wasn't, if there's a bit where I'd missed part of it with the ink, or I wanted my lines to be darker, I can just go back in, add some more ink, bring it back and push it down. As long as I've not moved my paper, it's going to stamp exactly in the same place. And there you can now see my lines have come out darker. If I was doing another one the same, I could take this piece of paper out, put another one in, and it would stamp it in exactly the same place as long as I line up my page. So that's the stamping platform. just move that out of the way. And I'll just bring in my stamping pad. So the other option is to use an acrylic block. So I have my block here and I just place my stamp on it like that. The other way that I can do it is, especially if it's some wording and I want to make sure it's straight, is I can lie it down on my grid paper, my stamp over and pick it up. So I'm going to ink up. So I have two ways that I can ink up. I can take my stamp to the ink and tap in, or I can pop my block down and bring my ink pad to my stamp. Now if it's a larger stamp, I would tend to bring my ink pad to the stamp. If it's a smaller stamp, then I would tend to take my block to the ink. So that's now been inked up, and I can just bring it and push it, pop it down. Now I'm not going to rock my block. I'm just going to add some pressure to the image, making sure it's nice and evenly pressed down. Then I'm just going to put my finger on, hold the piece of paper, and I'm going to lift it up, and I've got my perfect image. Now obviously I can't go back in with this one because I would never get it lined up exactly. Now this particular stamp set comes with some stamps to fill in some of the flowers. So I'm just going to get another colour. So I've popped that on my block. Now this time, because it's a small stamp, I'm going to take my stamp to the ink and I'm going to give it a few dabs. Now I've got some ink here on my block. If I push my ink pad really far in, I'm going to kick up loads of ink around. So I don't want to be pushing too hard. You'll always get, well not always, but you will sometimes pick up a little bit. But it is a tapping rather than a pushing. I'm then going to take my flower over here and just try line it up, and it doesn't line up perfectly, this one, it's not meant to, but again I'm going to push it down. I'm going to apply some pressure. I'm going to give it a second to let the ink penetrate into the paper, and then I'm going to lift it off. Oh, I did a really bad job of lining that up. It's because I didn't want to lean forward and get my head in the way. But what I want to show you is if you push it too far in, get ink on your block, and then you rock it, what you're going to end up doing is getting ink transferred onto your page. Okay, so it's not a rocking, it's a tapping, pushing and lifting. That way, you probably can't see that because it's come out so palely because it's a second block. But even though I've got ink on my block, because I didn't rock it, it's not transferred onto my paper. Okay, so I hope you found that useful. Next time I will go into cleaning stamps, and then later in the series we will also be looking at cutting paper, how to work out what size to cut your paper to, and we'll be looking at different glues as well. So I hope you'll come back and join me in the next part of this mini series. Thank you for joining me today, and happy stamping. Bye.